broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey there, AfterBuzz fans. Welcome to another edition of The Voice Of. I'm your host, Megan Salinas. Joining me, Patrick Dees.
Hello. It's good to be doing something with you again.
I know, long time no see.
I would agree.
And we are so very lucky because we have in the studio joining us in the flesh, not over Skype. Thank you very much.
Big difference.
Kathleen Zuelch, the voice of Glinda Goodwitch from RWBY, and the voice of one of my personal favorites, Tex from Red vs. Blue.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me, and happy holidays. I mean, this is like the best time to come out here to California, and I get to come and be on your show and enjoy conversation and get to meet you in person. So.
Thank you so much for taking the time to come on out here. It's so hard because everybody from the show, everybody's stationed in Texas.
Right, yes.
So we're so glad that we get to have you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, this is great. Got a lot to talk about.
Yes.
Perfect. We talk a lot. So
Okay,
perfect. Now you're from Los Angeles. You have family out here, so
I do.
You're out visiting us, but also family and kind
That
of.
is correct. See, I was born and raised in California.
Okay.
And started a career in first I sold airtime for a TV station out here.
Okay.
So that was first career, with sales and selling airtime. And then I decided at the ripe old age of that I would start this industry.
I'm coming up on that age.
Are you?
Yeah, I am.
The entertainment industry, animation, all of the above. So I was up here in Studio City, and I was working in sales, and that job ended, and I decided to go work for a recording studio, which was called Screen Music. And that was the beginning of the craziness. I mean,
Okay.
Yeah.
So entertainment was never necessarily anything you planned for. It was just something that sort of happened. You fell into it?
Well, I tried the modeling thing when I was about 25, and there's that pink bathing suit picture that's everywhere on the internet. I'm sure you've probably seen it.
People are Googling furiously.
Yes.
I have not, but I've been.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, but you know what? I didn't want to do that. There was the brain wasn't involved, and not to say that models aren't smart.
No, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But it was kind of okay, this isn't really what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I did want to get in the entertainment industry, but I didn't want to be a starving artist either. So, I thought, okay, I'll go corporate. But then I wound up going and doing the recording studio. And I went back to $10 an hour to just kind of intern and learn what the whole industry was all about. And the general manager there was great. He's like, look, I could get people in here to work for free, but I'll pay you $10 an hour, but you can learn whatever you want while you're here. And they did recording for everybody. They did for Disney, Warner Brother, Nickelodeon. And I got to work with all the studios and learn engineering and learn the script notes and learn and meet all the people that I needed to meet.
Right.
And the voice actors. I saw you had Phil Lamar. Okay. Phil and I worked with him 20 years ago. Jim Cummings, fantastic, right? Yeah. Brad Garrett, back in the day before he was an actor. All the people from the old school 90210. So it was, I worked for about a year and a half before I went to Warner Brothers. And I was, at that point, I'm like, you know what? I'm driven to be a producer, and this is the road I'm taking.
Yeah.
So that was.
Well, since you've gotten to be on both sides now, because you have such an extensive production background and you get to wear the hat of a producer, you've done so many things. Getting to voice act, finding your way into voice acting, do you feel like you have a preference for one or the other?
I'm way better at the producing side of things. I don't do all the silly voices. So far I've done just strong women voices, and that I love it, right?
Sure.
But it'd be fun to do something silly once in a while. But it's such a niche. And people ask me all the time, how do you get into voice acting? And my biggest recommendation is, listen and learn as many silly sounding voices or dialects or that makes you an asset to a show, because you have people like Jim Cummings, and I remember sitting and doing recordings when he was like recording different cartoons, and you have a group of people that they could sound like any other actor. They could sound like any animal, any sound that the earth makes. You know what I mean?
Like a true mimic almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of what I tell these kids that, that are always asking me, hey, I want to be a voice actor. Let's do that. But, and I fell into it really because of Matt Hullum and Bernie Burns. I mean, they had started Red vs. Blue, and it was just a, kind of a blip on, they were having something fun. And Matt and I were working on Clifford the Big Red Dog.
Yeah.
And so it's he said, I said, this is a great show, but you need a strong woman, and I want to be the voice. And they were like, really? You'd want to do that? I'm like, well, of course I would.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we didn't know how it would ever turn out. Yeah. So for me, it was just like, hey, if nothing ever happens, at least I'll go down in history as this tough chick. Right? So, and then of course things did happen. And then I think part of my real side of my brain was like, you are Tex. So I had to work with that for a while, but I really enjoy, doing it. I wish I could do other sounding things. You know what I mean? I would like to be able to sing like, I don't know, who's the best singer in the world, whatever, I want to be the best of the best, but we don't all have that talent.
Well, actually, that brings me to my next question. Since producing came first and acting came second, since it was just initially something for fun, have you done anything to strengthen yourself as an actress?
Yeah, I have. I have so many people that I've worked with, that voiceover coaches and directors that are here in Hollywood, and I've really listened and worked with some amazing voice directors that I listened to the way they directed the voice talent, so that then I would go and I would practice that. When we did season 10 of Red vs. Blue, I went to Texas, and that's when they asked me to move and produce it. And we created a CG pipeline, and everything was 3D. But I was like, you know what? I want to be the best Tex this year. Like I really wanted to. And so I kind of studied, I really did. And I practiced, and I felt like, I think it was like my best season as a voice actress. Like I felt finally after 10 years, okay.
Like I might know a little bit about this.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
totally.
I'm really good at helping other people. I have a lot of friends that, they want me to help with their reels, their voice reels. And I love doing that, because now there's this knowledge that's in my head that just spills out. I'm kind of like, where did that come from? Oh, well, yeah, you've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah, right. You're finally a subject matter expert.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Totally.
Right. I got the cane,
but
yeah. No, it is. It's a good feeling though. So for me now, it's more about giving back. But I am doing a voice in a new project.
Can you talk about it?
What is this new project you speak of?
Well, I'm excited because once again, I was asked, a colleague of mine, he works, and he has a website. He's a visual effects artist and supervisor, amazing man, Tommy Williams. And he has his own show called The Brick Nerd. He's a Lego aficionado, this man. So he did a Batman versus Superman, and you can find it on the internet, stop motion with Legos.
Where can people find them? What should they be looking for specifically? Stop motion?
Bricknerd.com. Okay. Or Bricknerd is the YouTube channel.
Perfect.
Or type in the stop motion Batman versus Superman. So it's going to be an episodic. So he called me up and he said, all right, the next episode will have the Justice League coming in, and I would love for you to do Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I'm like, Wonder Woman. All right. Once again,
yep.
I'm like, okay, tough chick. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I got this.
I got this.
Well, so now are you a big DC fan? Are you like, is that a character you're normally just drawn to anyway?
I loved Wonder Woman.
All right.
This ages me, but I watched it. Remember Linda Carter was the Wonder Woman back when I was a kid.
Sure.
And I remember just thinking, oh my gosh, that's who I want to be. Again, totally. Inspired my whole wanting to be a tough chick.
All right.
So I'm really excited about that. And, it's one of those things where it's just like Red vs. Blue. We took Halo and turned it into a show. And my gosh, well, look at where Rooster Teeth is now.
Right.
It's a conglomerate now. You know what I mean? But it's like these little, here's this person and he's starting something again from something that's already out there.
Yeah.
And, I think it's going to have legs, and I think it's really going to, take off. And I'd love to, I wanted to do voices for games, but I was so busy producing, I couldn't find, I didn't get an agent to like put me out on
Right.
look for it either.
Right. Yep.
You know what I mean?
I do.
And people think, it's so funny, people think, oh, you've done so much. Well, you could just walk in and get a job anywhere. But you still have to go through the channels. It
doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't. You know what I mean? You still have to have the agent. You still have to do the auditions and all that.
Right.
So, but Halo, whatever, if you need a voice. The next
Halo
one.
5
Hey,
Guardians
I'm there.
coming out. Yes, absolutely. You'd kill.
I know,
Well, it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned kind of wanting to do voices in games. I host a gaming podcast called Pixel by Pixel, and I happen to ask of some of our listeners, and a lot of people wanted to know just what is your relationship to Halo kind of before the Red versus Blue. Are you still playing Halo? And outside of that, like what other games what other games are you playing?
Well, because I have a son who is 24 now.
Okay.
So he grew up. I mean, he had the Xbox. So
Sure.
I knew of Halo before because I was buying the games for my son. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had Nintendo 64. I played Mario, played all of that, played the GoldenEye. I mean, that was,
GoldenEye and Golden Gun.
Were you good at Golden Gun?
No.
not so
GoldenEye
much.
made me
terrible.
sick. I mean, it was because
You were just motion.
yeah, I was just like, oh my god, I can't play this. But so I did get into to watch. I was watching my son, probably more so to see what the content was and was it appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely,
right?
like a good mother should.
Yes, exactly.
Well done.
Grand Theft Auto, what? But it was so I knew of it, and yes, I have Xbox Live. I suck, but
It's overrated being a good gamer as far as I'm concerned.
I'm one of those campers. I'm a camper. I would sit. And
It's a
people come by.
legitimate strategy.
You're damn right it is. You're damn right it is.
Right. So, but one thing that I like getting on and I love hearing all the kids. Sometimes I get a little like, I think you better not be saying what you're saying. Like these kids, you know what I mean? Like I feel like I need to be a parent as I'm listening to them argue.
Racist, misogynistic,
Oh my gosh.
homophobes. Like I was so
Oh,
surprised to
terrible.
hear that you said that you enjoy hearing. It's my least favorite, but I enjoy playing
From the
online.
standpoint of wanting to get in, because here's what happens when they find out that I'm texting on that person, then all of a sudden it's a whole different ballgame.
You'd be terrified of text.
Yeah.
Text could beat any of them up.
Right. I could
Yeah.
go and hit them in the balls.
Totally.
Exactly.
But I don't have tolerance. Here's what I want to do. I want to show, this is what I want to do. I want to have a show where I go to these houses of these kids that talk the way they do
Beautiful.
and knock on their doors and be like, I'm sorry, I'm the internet police. What the heck do you think you're saying? And, and then
Absolutely.
when they're 7, I go to their parents and say, what the heck are you doing letting them play this?
I think you
right?
record it, you show up, you play it for the
Yes,
parents.
yes, right?
And
Exactly.
make that kid explain to his parents what those words even mean.
I totally agree. I totally agree. That's a reality show right there. I want it.
Yeah, I think we're giving away. We're giving
I'm
away
not a
gold.
reality fan, but I would watch that TV
100%.
program.
I would watch
Could you
that.
imagine? Can you imagine
Absolutely.
their faces?
No, yeah, completely.
Although I would prerequisite before I watch, you have to kick down the door every
I
episode.
would in a heart.
Oh,
Yeah, there we
yes.
go. I like it. Like
And then,
like Transporter when he goes up and knocks the. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. All right. I'm right there. Me and Jason Stratham. Yeah.
I like
I
it.
definitely would watch that show. Fair enough.
That would be the best.
So do you trash talk when you play games? I mean, like in a friendly way, like none of this racist, misogynistic way. But are you like, well, you got destroyed on that one? Are you like King's English?
You know what?
just-
I'd probably be like, that's really poo poo, or that's really, I don't say, I'm not.
Good on
I'm
you,
not-
all right.
Yeah, I say silly words. My boyfriend makes fun of me because he'll be like, that's poopy, isn't it? It is. It's poopy.
just not
There's nothing
intimidating
wrong with
smack
keeping
talk.
it classy.
I would agree. I would agree. It's more of an art that way.
Right.
There you go.
Exactly.
Well, you mentioned a little earlier about the way, this thing started out for fun and then it just exploded. We had a question from Twitter, at RT_WatsonZek wanted to know, as somebody who's worked in animation for a while, how do you see RWBY growing over the next few years, both the show and the fan base?
Great question.
It is a great question. The first season I had the pleasure of producing, and then the season 2 was produced by somebody else. But I still have. There's a sense of, it's not ownership, but it's like, okay, you start something and you create a pipeline, and it's a feel-good feeling when you see
Sure.
things come to fruition, and you also
Absolutely.
see it be successful.
Yep.
I think, and I'm really happy to see that they're doing more of the toys, because I just think it can be so much bigger internationally. I hope to see that it goes international even more so. a movie, you know what I mean? Like, if I were them, I'd be like, let's think right now.
A movie.
You know, yeah. And even though they cut it together, and it is kind of like a season 1 movie or chapter and all that kind of stuff, it's still, I think that it has tons and tons of growth because each of those pods, I like to call them the pods of, you got the RWBY and the different foursomes, right? It's like they all have their backstory and they all have their mystical, magical, and I don't know. I just feel like they can really take it, and I hope they're able to. I mean, I hope that they're able to, take it and make it better with each iteration. Like if you look at season 1 of RWBY, and of course we had to use just the Halo one, the beginning Halo, that looked pretty antiquated compared to what you see now. And I think with the animation with RWBY, with each season, you can upgrade, make things a little bit better, make things a little sharper. I mean, production pipelines and production time and trying to make a deadline always puts a kibosh on the creative person who wants to put a little bit more.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So I think that, I think with each season, I hope to see that they're able to put a little bit more polish and, make it just that little bit better, honestly. But I think they're doing a great job, really.
What would you like to see from Glinda in the future? I know
I would like world domination and, me personally, just, and Kathleen speaking with Ego, it'd be fun to see her, get more involved in teaching the cast, meaning the characters on the show, more of her backstory and maybe more of how she got to where she was and more of her mystical, what she's able to do as a huntress and, you know what I mean? Kind of bring them down that side of things a little bit. And I'd like her to have a romantic partner.
All right.
Anybody in particular
casting?
you have in mind? Like Ironwood, Osmond?
Ironwood, he's pretty cute.
I
like the silver. So I think hey, you gotta have a little bit of
Well, it sounded like they had history together.
Oh, they definitely. So we need to follow that up. That's what I'm saying.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, I think that Ironwood wants to see her in her bathing suit.
Yes, that fan art.
Yeah, right, exactly. Which we got a lot of that. But no, I think that there's she has a lot of education. She's going to teach the crews, so hopefully it'll go down that road. But you know what? Maybe we don't know. I mean, she might take a cyanide pill and then be done, and that would be really sad.
That would be awful.
It'd be terrible. I agree.
I just think there aren't words. That is just terrible. That is the worst. It's the worst.
Yeah, no, I don't. But
she wouldn't go out that way. Is my point.
She'd go down swinging.
I agree.
Yeah, that's true. No, you're right there. Yeah, she's But she's a beautiful character, and I love the way they made her, and I think she's, I like her a lot. I do.
Well, so the line, talk to me about. I think voiceover stuff just fascinates me. So talk to me a little bit about, you've been doing Tex for all these years, a very beloved character. That entire fan base loves Tex. I don't even trust somebody that doesn't like Tex. I don't like.
There's something wrong with them, right?
Totally. So it's very beloved, and I feel like obviously you relate to that character in a big way. Like you want to emulate that tough chick. Like, what was it like to go to Glenda, right? Like, because that's the lion's share of your experience, and now you've got a very unique, powerful, intelligent. I mean, there's some in a Venn diagram of traits. There's a lot of overlap. But what was it? What was it like for you to shift gears?
I was really excited. I mean, when I talked to Monty about it, and he explained to me what this character and who she was like, and because I said to him, I don't want it to be Tex. I don't want it to be just the same character, and to have a softer, feminine, badass woman, right? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so I was really excited, and I took it so serious. I mean, I auditioned. It's it wasn't like, oh, it's a given. I mean, I'm sure that they were being nice too, but it's like I wanted to make sure I gave them what they wanted, and we went through a lot of different sounds and ages. So sounding a little older, sounding a little hot, softer. To really nail what she was, and it was great to have a visual of her too. And that's what.
Oh, I believe it.
Right,
I believe it. Yeah.
If you have that, and we used to do that with we'd have actors come in, and we'd always bring the artwork for their character because it's inspirational. You look at it, and you kind of start feeling
like, what does this sound like?
Right, exactly. Who is she? What is she all about? So I really wanted to understand her and give them something that was right on. It's exactly what they wanted. And so I feel really good about it. And this season, I loved it. I was at the Alamo, and they had the live screening. Right? Yeah. And so that was really exciting because I did all the voiceover in one sitting. So to go and then see it,
Oh yeah.
you know,
Absolutely.
and be like, oh wow, that's me. Oh, that's right. Oh,
Re-surprising yourself.
Yeah.
Like, all right, yeah.
oh, wow,
That
I
came
pulled
out
that
okay.
one off. You're right. Yeah, exactly. You know, and so it was a pleasure and it was fun. I was real excited about it.
And it must be really validating too, because everything goes up online, and it must be a completely different experience to actually hear an audience laugh when they're supposed to
absolutely.
laugh
Oh
and
my
gosh,
cheer when they're
yes.
supposed
It
to
was
cheer.
great, and that's the best way, you know. And I keep we did something, and I'm sure they'll be able to do more of this because now Rooster Teeth's in a bigger place. But for season 10 of RWB, we did the table read,
Yeah.
and that was awesome because, you know, we were never able to do the recordings with all the actors together because we didn't have the space. But when I was recording out here, and we would sit, you guys remember Earthworm Jim?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm
Yes.
sitting in the recording studio, and there was probably, I want to say maybe 20 actors, because everybody, and they would do a whole episode. They would record. So you're almost like listening to a radio show, right? And these actors, when you have them all in a room and they're comedians, like Jim Cummings was in that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're laughing. You get a different read.
There's an energy, right? Yeah,
yes.
complete. You're playing off of each other. There's a chemistry.
A total chemistry.
Yep.
And I saw one of the people had asked, and Shannon had written, Twittered, you know, no, we all record separately. And I'm thinking, you know, down the line, hopefully they'll be able to record together because you get a different acting experience
Sure.
from the actors.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot more reactive as opposed to, okay, well, how did they read? You know, how am I going into this? So it's really exciting to do it all together. But
I want to go back and ask about the audience things. When you were talking about that showing and like being in that room,
Right.
Like we had a great question. Nathaniel Kramer on Twitter was asking about specifically what are the differences that you've perceived in the fan base? Because I'm relatively new. Like I'm a long time Red versus Blue guy,
Oh, okay.
long time, and so but never engaged with the community in any capacity.
Ruby's his first anime.
I
Ruby
love
was
that.
the very first anime I ever watched.
I think it's a lot of first people's anime.
It's super accessible, so I would recommend it. I've recommended it several times for people that are looking into getting into it. But like what I didn't realize, just being really obtusely focused on Red Blue, was just how amazing that community is.
It's
Everybody,
beautiful. Yeah.
not in Red versus Blue, but also just all of Rooster Teeth.
Yeah.
But there's got to be like a bit of a distinction between those two communities. You know, what has it been for you? What have you noticed?
Well, I'll tell you, the community is what I have. That's been what I've enjoyed the most. Like it for me, and all of the work that I've done there, it's all for the community.
Yeah.
Full on.
So here's the thing too. I don't mean to interrupt, but I think that like a lot of people say things like that, and you get this sense from everybody at Rooster Teeth that they believe that it's authentic when they say that.
Yeah.
Whereas you hear companies say, you know, oh, we do it for the fans. Sure you do.
Right.
You mean by fans, you mean the money, but
Right.
I always believe that when you guys articulate as much.
It was, I'll say, the Red versus Blue fan base and the beginning of when we first had the website, the loyalty is amazing. I mean, I have people that have gotten married and have kids that I've followed all since they were 15 years old. Now they're 20, you know, whatever, 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's changing. It's changing because it's a lot more mainstream now. Like it's blown up, right? So there's the diehard fans from way back that it might be too much for them now. Like it's like, you know what, you guys are going too mainstream, and I hear that from them, and it's like, it's okay, I understand that. But the RWBY community is bringing it back to kind of that smaller, not smaller, but you know, loyal, focused on the product. And enjoying and the fan and making things up and following every little thing. So it reminds me a lot of beginning of the Red versus Blue, but then there's so much of the live action. There's so much more now that they offer. So you know, I think the fan base is growing. I don't know them all as well as I did. You know, I mean, back in the day, I would sit for hours at my computer and write everybody. And I kept that dialogue, and I'm glad I did. You know, I kind of became known as the mother of Rooster Teeth and of the website and of the community, and I enjoy that. You know what I mean?
Just interacting on the forums, or these emails? Or
Emails.
like, that's so cool.
Oh my gosh, there's so many things that, you know. I mean, I would reach out to kids when they were, you know, would write me and say that they've had some, like they're depressed or whatever, and I say, give me your telephone, I'm calling you right now. Like if they had real issues that I could sense, you know. And that was when I was able to do that. You know, there wasn't
right. You had the bandwidth to do
right.
right. Yeah.
So I'm still with social media. I'm still really involved in a lot of everybody's lives. And when people email me, it might take a couple weeks, but I will always email back and answer their questions. And I have a lot of kids that write for, they want help with, teenage is hard.
Absolutely.
In this time.
Totally.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, it's a lot different than when I was in school. And so, just to be kind of that role model or that person to help them, say, hey, this is a tough patch, but you're going to get through it.
Yeah.
So, but I think the community it's pretty darn loyal. And that's why I loved going to the fan events, because
I can imagine.
it was just, you go and it's everybody's there, and it wasn't so much, I mean, they were there to see us, but they were also there for the camaraderie of all the people that were there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
So, which made you feel good, because you almost feel funny when you have 200 people and they're looking at you.
Yeah, right.
Right? It's like, let me do my song and dance. Can we, so anyways, but yeah, that's my favorite, is definitely the community. And
Well, and just talking about the community, you've actually, one of the hats that you wear, if I can use the word, is humanitarian. You've taken a lot of steps to just kind of not only make the community a better place, but encourage people to make their world a better place.
Yeah, that's something I'm really proud of that. And I always would like to think that the people that are at Rooster Teeth, have kind of taken my cue to do more of that. I mean, Jack does great stuff with Achievement Hunter. If you have a platform, use it. And I love to see when he does Child's Play and all of it makes me so happy to see that they're doing more of that. But that's what I want to get more into in my own life, like, is doing more for others and just kind of making that message. It's like, this is what we need to be doing. It's time, because the world is like, like, what's going on out there, world?
If nothing else, that's the quote of this. The world is like, totally. No, I love that. Talk to me a little bit about, in knowing that we were going to connect a little bit. I saw your website and I saw the Good Deed program. It was something that I wasn't familiar with at all, and found it incredibly inspiring. So could you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'd love to. So in 2005, I got this weird tickle. I might make some weird faces.
Please do. Gives people an incentive to those people
worry.
listening on iTunes. It'll give them an incentive to check it out on YouTube, because they're going to want to see.
We are streaming live on YouTube,
We are, as a matter of
actually,
fact.
and we are keeping an eye on our phones. You can use the RWBY hashtag, RWBY AfterBuzz hashtag that we were using during the after show, RWBYABTV on Twitter.
It was a mouthful. I think you nailed it.
It helps when I can read it.
It was impressive.
It's perfect.
Let's take a moment to talk about our YouTube watchers.
Yes, and Steven is keeping an eye on the live chat.
I love
I
that.
am. Kathleen, is there a possibility that you might voice a new character in the next season of Red vs. Blue by Midnight Shade?
You know what? I would love that. Well, I'd love for Tex to come back. Are you kidding me? I keep saying, hey, nobody really ever dies in animation. So, and she died like 5 times way before she actually died. So it's kind of like, can we just, cut to the chase?
They're creative people. I feel like we can come up with a way to bring Tex back.
Yeah. So we'll see. It's all up to the guys, and I'm at a place where I'm not going to push for that kind of stuff. I mean, I let them, they do what they need to do.
Yep.
But going back to the Good Deeds, back when we first started the website, we had icon awards, so profiles on your profile. If you had awards from the staff, so there was like maybe 7 or 8 awards that you could have on your profile. You had to get them from the staff members, and the kids all said, hey, how do I get your award? And I thought, way back then, I want something that's meaningful, right?
Sure, yeah.
And so I said, okay, here's the deal. Go out in the world, not on the internet, do a good deed, and come back and tell me, and then you'll get your, and kids, people were saying, well, if I do a good deed, it's supposed to be anonymous, blah, blah, blah. And I said, look, I'm not going to tell anybody you did it.
Right.
This is just between you and I.
Yeah.
Well, oh my gosh. I mean, I have thousands upon thousands of all these. I've saved so many, so many I couldn't save. But
That's so cool.
And it was amazing, because just to have these kids think about it, and then they would send more. It wasn't just one. Now it's like it was on their mind.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to do this nice thing for this person. And some of the conventions, I'd have teachers or parents come up and say, oh my gosh, we love the Good Deed program that you're doing, So that's something that I will continue on my own. It's on my website.
Right.
But, there's things that I'd like more to do with that. And I liked telling, I did it for a while last year. I did some YouTube and I was reading them, but I would have like the military good deeds. I have like good deeds that had to do with Christmas.
Very cool.
But the military, I mean, these people, gosh, the stuff that they do in Afghanistan, you know,
Yeah.
they're helping, like there's a little kid and the kid's, you know, scared. So they went and they helped the little, you know, the child. They're trying to bring some kind of peace between hate and, you know what I mean? The countries and stuff. And I'm thinking, man, that's what it's all about. And I just wish there was an entertaining way to let people know of these good deeds. Cause you know, I mean, I hate to say it, but sex and death and rock and roll are the ones that everybody wants to hear about.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
absolutely.
So anyways, that's it. We'll see how that, you know, we'll see how to make it out there.
I love it. No, it's inspiring, and we can talk off mic at some point. I want to help further that program.
Okay.
I think it's incredibly
Good.
cool.
I'd like to see it go to schools. Like I'd like to create something where we bring it into high schools,
Absolutely.
junior highs, and just start, or even grammar schools, you know, and some kind of a award type of thing. You know, you get books or you get. And that's a whole other thing, education. Like, let's get them off the internet. Like, let's have, you know, real live games. Let's get back to the tactile, like, you know, just playing hide and go seek. Let's get kids being kids again as
Get
opposed
them out
to...
into the world to do some
Yes.
good.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Find a way to gamify it. I'm on board. Well, I definitely want to. So, like, you said you've received just thousands of these. Are there any
gosh,
particular
yeah.
ones that stand out? Anyone that you could share?
Gosh, they're so... Okay,
I'm sure there's tons. I hate to put you on the spot, but
No,
I
I
think it's such a cool program.
No, it's
Well,
fantastic.
you know, they would span from, say, somebody writing saying, "Oh, I was going to the grocery store and I saw this old person and they were trying to get stuff, you know, their groceries out. So I went up and I helped them and they offered me money and I said no, and they said, wow, that's really, you know, that's like from a simple thing to something that was like super involved. And I'm not going to be able to think of, you know, on the spot, but where they took the initiative at their school to do some type of fundraiser that wound up raising money. Do you know what I mean? Like they took it to the next level of the good deed and incorporated a lot of other people and then said, oh, and we were able to raise this amount of money for, you know, whatever project. But I'll give you, here's what really got me to cry. Last Christmas, before, it was last September, my love and joy, my dog, Pearl, she's an Italian Greyhound, passed away. I had to put her down. And it was devastating. And so I had her for 11 years. So all the fans knew of Pearl. Okay. So you know what they did? I get a card and one of the fans, and I got goose pimples, had got all these other fans and they donated money to the Italian Greyhound Rescue in Pearl's name.
That is so great.
It was like, I don't know, $160 or something. And I'm like, I did a video opening the card. I said, I was crying like, you guys are beautiful. Like, thank you. Like, wow. You know what I mean? So that was, you know, that touched my life and it was, you know, it was heartfelt.
Thank you for sharing. Like, I know we were joking a little bit about the racism and the misogyny on the internet. But like, you know, there's so much vitriol and anger on the internet as a whole. And so I love that it's my actual takeaway is going to be, if you have a platform, use it. And I just applaud you personally for, you know, taking that initiative and spreading a little bit of good, right? Doing some, putting good out into the world. Totally.
If we could just do that each day a little bit, you know? Yeah. So
challenge issued. Everybody watching, challenge
yes.
issued. Do one good deed by the end of the day.
And if you don't, I'll come and I'll get you in the balls.
It's one or the other. It's good deed or you're getting smacked in the balls. I appreciate that.
And you know the kids asked me to do that. You know they asked me to hit them in the balls.
I've heard about that. I've heard that at conventions that they ask you to take pictures of you punching them in the balls.
On YouTube, I'm in Canada. I mean, I think I hit 100 balls. We lined them up. You should see the video. I'm going down the row, and these kids are all like, you know, and I'm just thinking, oh my gosh. Australia. I went, you know, this kid in front of the audience, he's like, oh, I got a question, Kathleen. Can you hit me in the balls? I'm like, okay, come on up. So he comes up, and I just leaned in and I said, all right, dude, make it look good. And that kid, he was a good actor because I just went, boom, and he was all like, he fell, and he was holding his legs, you know. I was just like, wow, this is great. But
fantastic.
I told him at RTX I wanted to do like the world record of hitting balls. Let's like line them up. Let's
totally get us out there, certify it. I like it.
Yeah, I think it would be pretty cool.
Well, just talking about the conventions, do you have a favorite con experience?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know that's
so
like picking
many
children.
So many con. Okay, well, one really great experience was actually we went to Sundance. We got to go to Sundance 2 years in a row.
Nice.
Yeah.
And the first year, let's talk about. We'll talk briefly about both years. But the first year, so it's like Bernie, Matt, Gus, me, Jeff, and Joel. Okay, so we go to Sundance, and so then Jeff was married, and let's see who else was. Bernie was married, Matt was married, and a couple of them brought their wives. So my aunt has a house in Utah. And so we stayed at this house and it had double, you know, upstairs, downstairs, and they weren't there. So we had the whole house. And we had people coming in from like Bungie and all different places. And so people were staying with us. But we would go and people would party and whatever. And I had my own room downstairs. And so they were all like, oh, we're going to go into town. We're going to party. And I'm thinking, yeah, okay, you all have some fun. But I'm like, I'm locking my door. And
Smart.
Right? And so
Smart.
they get back and it must have been like 3 a.m. And I can hear all these little turds outside my door, like drunk, going, Kathleen. And they're like, oh my God, she locked it. She locked her door. I don't know. And I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, you guys are crazy, right?
Yeah.
So that was our first year experience, and it was really fun. We had a lot of fun, and we had we had the armor, the red and versus blue, the Master Chief armor. And so I remember, Matt, this was the other thing. We had to go to Home Depot and buy black caulking. Okay, black caulking.
Yep.
So you got to be real careful.
Oh, you do. You see, I noticed how you leaned into that L. Yes.
So they, of course they put me up to the, the task of asking the guy where the black caulking was, because I didn't know the L really needed to be there.
Sure.
So the guy's face when I'm asking for black, was kind of like,
I don't know if you guys
ma'am,
can hear,
I
but
think you're at the
Steven
wrong
in the
store.
Steven in the booth is laughing.
Yeah. Put this sucker up. Put Kathleen up to that one. She'll never know the difference. Yeah. So I soon learned quickly to put that L in there, because so that was the first year. The second year, we went and it was 11 guys, because we had a couple other filmmaker brothers that stayed in this condominium. We got a condominium right into town, Sundance Town. And we get there, and I was the only woman. And so it was like, okay, well, where's everybody going to sleep? Well, the married guys obviously had to have their own room, whatever, even though the wives weren't there. And so who was left was me and Gus. And there was one room with one big giant bed. And so Gus wasn't married at the time. And, I was like, it's like brother and sister. I said, dude, you just stay on your side, I'll stay on my side. And and one night, surprise, surprise, they went out and got drunk. And we all did. We did a lot back in the day. And so I'm in bed sleeping, and I hear the door open, and it was kind of like this alcohol smell. Yeah, you know what I mean? When somebody's been drinking a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And I could hear Gus coming. I'm thinking, oh my God, I can never sleep if I smell that all night. But you know what? He was the nicest guy. He comes in, he gets his pillow, gets a blanket, and he went and slept in the bathroom in the bathtub.
Aww.
Yeah. So, and that was the night that these people that were staying in the condominium, we didn't know, had made a snowman. And he went and peed on the snowman. And they're like,
Lord.
what are you? Are you a creator or a destroyer? There's a shirt, there's all kinds of stuff. He's like, I'm a destroyer, and I don't know. It was just, but we went to the store and we got sleds, just, the cheapy ones. And we walked up a ski, hill after it was closed at night.
That sounds
really
terrifying.
Stupid, right? And like, I'm thinking, there's trees. Nobody broke their neck. I'm surprised, but it was the best times. Like, and it's funny. I know they got mad because when they got acquired, and I said, oh, it'll never be the same. It's not that I mean it in a bad way. It's that when we all started, and it was just like 7 or 8 of us, that feeling, it was family. It's like we would sit at dinner in Sundance or wherever else. We were in Australia, and it was just us guys, and we used to cheers the internet.
Yeah.
And it's family, like when it's small like that, and it's okay that it grows, but it was really great. But man, and I love doing the conventions with Gav. Gav was like my son. I mean, he was probably almost the same age as my son, and we did we would go like every weekend. I remember 1 month, 3 weekends, we flew to different locales to do the conventions, and it was just a
so
blast.
Cool. Yeah.
You know, I mean, what kind of life? Like, hey, I'm going to this place, I'm going to Canada, I'm going to Australia. I loved Australia. That was a really great. That was a great time too. But it's and it's kind of surreal. You go into those environments and you have hundreds of people, and they're all like, and then you leave and you go home and you got your mom saying, your room's a mess or whatever. I don't know.
Completely.
So it's been the most the best time. Yeah. And it was nice that it was peppered in. I got to do it while I was still producing in Hollywood, So,
right.
And that's like that was kind of a cool thing. And I would use that, tout that over the people's heads that I was working with. I'm really a big person.
Kind of a big deal. I don't
Better
know.
be nice to me, just so you know.
I'm punching balls in Hollywood too.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
I think it's great that you play a freelancer and that you're actually a freelancer in
I know
real
it
life.
is. Isn't that funny? It's true. Yeah, it's kind of ironic that way. Again, that's why I'm saying part of my brain's got the tech still in her, but
yeah.
no, I like, and you were asking earlier about like Tex and Glinda and the how I feel about them, and Tex will always be my awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just like
absolutely.
that's just it. That was it. And I mean, Glinda's wonderful. And I think she's beautiful, but Tex is Tex. And it cracks me up when they'll write me, well, if Glenda and Tex got in a fight, who would win? Well, since it's both me.
Well, that was half my Twitter questions. That was the next 20 I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, God, I tell you, it's like, I just feel like it would be, I feel unfaithful calling one out, right?
No,
like,
totally.
Yeah, it all depends. I mean, Glenda's got mystical things and Tex is just
she's Tex. Yeah, I mean,
if she got the first punch, boom, Glinda.
Game
but
over.
if she was walking up and Glinda did the swirl and iced her and with the I mean, that's it. So
I feel like we need to see this.
It could
happen.
go either way.
Yeah, for sure.
Monty, get on animating back. 'Cause we need to see how
choreograph
this would
a
play
fight
out.
scene right now. And that's funny. I'm sure Tex will always be a real soft spot in your heart because in perpetuity, all of like those memories you're talking about at the cons will always kind of be tied to that that voice and that character.
Yeah,
unbelievably cool.
Talking about fun times, we have a question from Neriel on Twitter. Obviously, it's not as much fun when you have like the table read. It's a really great experience. But when you're in the booth, what has been your favorite set of bloopers?
Oh my God, for me or for anybody else? I'll tell you who's really funny.
Yes.
Okay, who's really really funny? Matt does hilarious bloopers with Sarge.
I believe it.
And he's always been, actually, he was my favorite character, Sarge, because he was so different than who Matt is. Like everybody, Joel was, kind of like Joel in his own way, and then Jason sounds like Jason and Dan sounded like Dan and I sound like Tex. I just kind of went a little lower. But Matt had to do the voice, the different sounds
the
or whatever.
mythical creature.
And he had so many fun characters. And then, of course, Bernie has great outtakes.
Yeah.
But Jason had great outtakes because he was the Bow Chicka Bow Wow. And, I mean, he took everything to that place, For me, here's the thing. Tex was always the deadpan. You know what I mean? So it's
she's
like
the straight man.
I would say... I feel weird saying the F word, even though it's on the web that we're saying. But if I would drop the F bomb or something, and the guys would laugh. You know what I mean? I could just, I'd throw that out there a lot. But when we had the big fight scene, let's see, it was the ending, the ice scene, and she's meta, and she's fighting that whole thing, and they said, hey, we need you to do all the sound for her. And I was like, oh, you guys, I said, it's all fighting. I said, well, I don't want you, because I get all fight. I fight. Like I do the moves in the booth to get it.
I believe it.
Efforts. I'm all like, and I got to
Totally.
I'm doing the kicks. And so I said, okay, here's the deal. You guys hit the record button and leave the room. And so that's what they did. And I'm in there. And I'm working up a sweat.
Yeah.
And then they wound up not even using any of them, I think, because the music was so loud over text. But I mean, I was just like, oh yeah, I'll make this so good because I was watching it. So it's like I was doing ADR to it. You know what I mean? But so that's I'm a little bit better at Glinda with doing outtakes. I think for some reason, I don't know, because she has a little bit more. A little more the mystique or the silliness, so.
Yeah. Very proper, right?
She
so
has
when
an
she,
air of
yeah.
sophistication to
Right.
her.
So if I take her a whole different way, they laugh.
Yeah.
Because you can't, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's, and I'm getting a little bit better at doing that stuff. But, it's funny. Ironically, on season 11, my son got to come out and he was, he interned for a summer.
Cool.
This past summer, the summer
Very
before.
cool.
And it was great because he got a taste of everything. And Miles was really wonderful. Miles had him do all of the outtakes. And so Tyler, my son, went through and picked the different bloopers.
Yeah.
And then he actually did all the machinima. And
I
was really proud of him. So yeah, season 11, Tyler Yanelli, and he got to do all that, and it's pretty cool. And
So people who go and watch the blooper reel on the DVD and Blu-ray, that was his.
Yeah, that's my son's. Yeah, which is so cool. He works for Apple now, and once in a while, he'll be chatting it up with the people. And of course, that's the environment. That's our demographic. And they'll catch wind. Oh, Rooster Teeth. Wait a minute. What? Your mom? What? Your mom is who? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so, and it was fun growing up for him because
I have no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, his friends.
Completely.
Yeah, your mom's Tex.
Mom's a rock star.
Yeah,
Totally.
So it was like, wow, I'm going over to Tyler's house, and and it was really. But this was a funny story. He's gonna hate that I tell this. So he was a teenager. He's like, yeah, Mom. He goes, hey, I'm gonna have my friends over to go swimming because we have a pool. And he's like, but can you not have your bathing suit on? Okay, sweetie. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
I think he just didn't want to have his friend. Didn't want his friends have impure thoughts about his mother.
Totally.
Kind of weird,
people
right?
ogling your mother.
Yeah,
I'd have been the same.
Right. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, so, but no, he's a great kid, and he got. Oh my gosh, he went to San Diego Comic-Con every year and worked the booth with us and the guys,
how cool.
and grew up with the guys.
Oh, right.
And it's like, I think Jeff was the first person to give him a vodka tonic when he was, I don't know,
17.
Yeah, or no, it was like 16 or something like that. But and he just, he loved it. He loved that they talked the same with him around.
Sure.
That with not, and of course I'm like, oh my gosh, X-rated. What are we doing with my son? But no, it was really good. It was good for him. And it was funny because, at Comic-Con, they got all the booth babes. Mm-hmm. And that is where I learned what hover hands are. Because my son, I'd go.
A term I recently learned, by the way. It's fantastic.
Isn't it hilarious?
Yeah, can you explain it?
Yes, I'll explain it. So I would find these, these babes, and I'm like, let's go and get a picture with you, with them. And he'd go in the middle, and he'd have these two half, dressed girls, and his hands would be 4 inches away from their skin and their body.
Right.
Hovering.
Yeah.
That's hover hands.
Right.
So I'm like, dude, you could get in there. Like, hold on,
What a mom. What a
I
mom.
know. I tried.
You're like a wing woman.
Yeah, I was. I was like, you know what? It's all good, my son.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. And then but then as he got older, if I ever call him dude, he's like, I'm not your dude. I'm your son. I'm like, I know, sweetie.
No, I know, but we can still be dude. I love it when my mother calls me dude.
Really?
Yes, totally.
Well,
my mother's one of my best
then.
friends.
Yeah, you need to tell him that because I think because of the environment that I'm in, it's like I probably have that little bit younger, right? Discussions and verbiage or whatever.
Yeah.
So I bring it home and he's all like, you're my mother. I'm not your dude. I'm like, okay, all right. I love you, son.
No, not me. I love it. My mother will quote stuff too that we'll have inside jokes from things that we grew up, and she doesn't even know the reference material. Like we'll quote like old Adam Sandler comedy CDs, like the talking goat. Growing up, we'd be like, "Hey, goat." My mother has no idea where that's from, but she says it all the time, just
That's
like at
hilarious.
dinner because we would say it.
Because you would say it.
She's just one of us.
Oh, see, I love that. That's really funny.
She's rad.
That's funny. I taught my mom a dirty Italian word. And she didn't know that's what it was, and she says it. And just at Christmas, I heard her say it, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I taught her that like 30 years ago, and she still says the word.
She doesn't entirely know what it means.
No, it
She
means
just
shit in Italian,
Perfect.
right? And she says it, and I was like, oh, just don't say that around any Italian people, But speaking of, I worked with Adam Sandler last December on Jason Reitman's film, which was Men, Women, and Children.
Oh, which I've not seen. It's one of his only films I haven't seen. How was it? What was that experience like?
Well, the premise of the film, I was very happy that somebody was bringing it to the forefront because it's all about the demise of the nuclear family because of the internet and everything.
Yeah.
But it was amazing because my job was to recreate the internet on the computers so that the actors could sit and actually go to the websites and work and utilize the websites, but it would never go to the World Wide Web because we had to film it one scene 6 hours 6 different ways. Right? So it was really exciting because a lot of times they use green screens and he did not want to do that. So I got to work with Adam Sandler and Jennifer Gardner and Judy Greer and Dean Norris and Ansel Elgort, I can't say the guy from Fault of the Stars, like the cutie pie everybody's in love with now, and I didn't know who he was, and so I was like, okay, he's a cute kid, but but we got to go to they said, hey, we got to do this gameplay. We don't know how we're gonna film it, and I'm like, hello, I got this. And so it was great. I called Matt and said, hey, can we come? Can I bring Jason and the producer?
Yeah.
And we had the two Adams at Rooster Teeth actually do all the gameplay, and Jason was like blown away by their ability, you know what I mean? And so we captured everything that he wanted. Yeah, because all of the gameplay had to be pre-recorded, and then I had to explain to Ansel. We sat down at a computer and I showed him kind of what the game and what the fingering would be, so he had it right.
That was my next question. So you actually coached them on how to hold the controller?
Yeah, exactly. Because he was
Thank you.
Yeah, and he was on the laptop, and I was like, you got to make sure you got your fingers right, because everybody's going to call me out on that for sure, right? But it was really exciting. Adam Sandler was awesome. He was like a really, really personable guy. I mean, and I had to show him his sites were porno sites.
Wow.
Yeah,
All right.
and he was so embarrassed, kind of. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I thought he would joke around, but he was kind of like, okay, yeah.
I've heard he's a very sweet guy.
Really sweet.
Yeah.
He had his dog with him too, which was really cool.
Aww.
Yeah, that big old bulldog. So, and Jennifer Gardner was really lovely. What a sweetheart. I mean, I was just kind of like, wow, you're as nice as I thought you would be.
That's great. That's always good to hear again. Positive stories about people when all you end up hearing is how everybody's terrible
how
and how
horrible they are.
Well, let me tell you about so and so.
Well, and you've worked on a lot of different movies, The Iron Giant, Space Jam, as we were talking about earlier.
Space Jam.
Yes.
What's been your favorite project to work on? And again, I know it's like picking children, but favorite team outside of Rooster Teeth?
It was Iron Giant.
Was it
Hands
really?
down, yeah.
All right.
I mean, we were at Warner Brothers. You know, they did Space Jam. Then they decided they were going to do feature animation, and that's when Quest for Camelot. And Quest for Camelot was their first real all animated film. And what happened was they had a whole bunch of money, and this was back in the day when there was a lot of money, and they just threw it at people. You know, they like, oh, we're going to get this director from this company and this vice president and this president. And they had some people in the higher up that maybe just didn't manage things well. And that film cost over $200 million. And it's a piece of doo-doo, right?
Wow.
I shouldn't say doo-doo. I mean, you know, a lot of people work hard on
Pretty harsh.
Yeah, it's not doo-doo. No, it's not. Okay, it's okay. I mean, here's the thing. It took them, I don't know how many years. And it was, and so Warner Brothers got really disillusioned by spending that kind of money and having it kind of be a flop, because it was a flop financially for them. But then what happened was Iron Giant was already up on the docket and got greenlit. And so literally I finished like Friday that film and went, you know, Monday to Iron Giant. And it was, we had, I think, about 300 people. So we cut down the size of the crew. We no longer outsourced to England. So it was all going to be done at the studio, which makes such a big difference. Well, people started, that's when you get in a groove. You know what I mean? You kind of got, everything's greased and pipeline's working. And Iron Giant was just a labor of love. Brad Bird, my gosh, I mean, I've never seen a man work so hard and have so much in his head of exactly what he wanted. And I worked with the art director. And so it was great because I shadowed the art director on all of the approvals, and he would always do approvals with Brad.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was like, I want to understand this process. And so I learned a lot from watching Brad and also the art director and Alan Bodner. But he was just so calculated. And the funny thing about it is you become spoiled because you think that all directors should be like that. And then you work with a director who doesn't know what his vision is.
Yeah.
And you're like, my God, I could do your job and then some, you know. But it was amazing. And the sad thing was they didn't give Iron Giant really any type of marketing or, you know. And so it came out and it did horribly. But it's a cult favorite. See what you know what I mean?
No, it really is.
Yeah, when people actually sat down and started watching it, people loved it.
Yeah, and it was fun because that was the film that I wound up being the continuity person to watch and everything. You know, we would sit in what's called Sweatbox, and that's where the directors review the animation, rough and cleanup. And so what was happening is there was clothing changes. You know, Hogarth had a couple different outfits on throughout that film.
Sure.
So think about, you're paying an animator $5,000 a week. He works for 3 weeks on a scene. The scene comes to Sweatbox and Hogarth has the wrong shirt on.
Yeah.
And they have to send it back. All of a sudden you got some money that you got, right?
Yeah.
So what I did is I created this chart for the whole film and every sequence and every scene, who was in it, what the clothing was, if they had watches, all that kind of stuff. They passed that out to the animator. So that started nipping some of it in the bud a little bit. But I went to all the Sweatbox and I'd be like, wrong shirt. La la la, but you know what I mean? And they were kind of like fantastic. And then there's a point in time where some things had to go through, so I could share with you, there's definitely some continuity issues in the film, and I love that.
Yeah.
I know it. But the one thing that was kind of crazy is Dean. There's a scene where Dean's looking at a paper, and he's got a toothpick in his mouth. Well, originally he had a cigarette in his mouth. And did I tell you guys this story?
No, I don't think so.
So Dean had the cigarette, and what happened was in the original animation, the cigarette falls and it starts to light the paper, and Dean's like, like this, right? Well, the Warner Brothers, the executive said, you can't have a cigarette. It's a kid movie. And it's like, come on, it's the character, for goodness sake.
Right.
So they said, well, it's already animated. Let's just, all we have to do is change the cigarette to a toothpick. So they erased everything. They put a toothpick, and they added the squirrel. The squirrel going up his leg was the reason why he was doing this, as opposed to putting out a fire.
Oh, gotcha.
So it's like a lot of that kind of went down. A lot of that was like, And Vin Diesel was the voice of the giant, and it's like that was before he was anybody. Like I was like, I don't know who Vin Diesel is.
Really?
When we first heard, I really didn't know who he was.
And now he's Groot.
I know, right?
right?
I mean, it's like, hello, I'd like to meet you. But no, it was a great show. It was a great movie to work on.
Someone named Doug's in the chat wants to say, can you confirm or deny a possibility for Iron Giant 2?
No, it's not going to happen. It's like Brad, it's one of those things. And I think he's even said, it's just, the only way it would happen is if Warner Brothers did without Brad.
Right.
So,
Well, and sometimes that's for the best. Sometimes something is better
agreed.
just self-contained without a sequel.
Right.
Almost
Let it be.
all the time.
It's like, let
Amen.
it be. Let it be
Yep.
its icon.
Sure.
Yeah,
We don't need Iron Giant 16, the death of, Hogarth, whatever, right?
I saw A Christmas Story 2 the other time for the first time.
Did you really?
I didn't even know that. I
Just
never
don't.
saw it.
Just don't.
I didn't know it was a thing.
Just
It
don't.
was a thing, yeah.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Where does it
That
pick
hurts my
up? Does it
soul.
pick up from the kid with his tongue stuck on the...
I believe it picks up when the kid's in high school. And it's like, that loses a lot
Just
of
don't
its
even
charm,
mention
right?
it. Let's stop now.
Okay, yeah, moving on.
The only one that I enjoyed that I thought worked was Santa Claus, and then I liked Santa Claus 2. Now, the third one, I was like, what? But I did enjoy 1 and 2, and he had to
Okay.
go back and find a wife. I was like, oh, I really like that.
It was cute. It was actually a decent
He's in
sequel.
love. I like that kind of stuff, so no.
Well, actually, just since we're talking about different animated projects and things like that, we had one question on Twitter. Mark J. Lim. If you
I
were
like
given,
Mark. I know who he is, yeah. Hey, Mark.
Of course
if you
you
were
do. I
given the
love it.
chance to be a voice on any animated show, what would you like to be on?
Oh, that's a fantastic. I think it would be Family Guy.
Who
I
would
would
you want
love-
to play?
Me? No. I think it would be fun to have like Tex be on Family Guy or some, you know what I mean? Like make an appearance and wipe everybody out.
In one of those jump cut,
Yes.
that time that Tex walked in the
Yeah,
room and,
yeah,
and
yeah.
punched Gary Coleman in the balls or something weird. I don't
Right?
know. Yeah,
Wouldn't that
totally.
be hilarious?
Yeah.
That would be a great cutaway.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
I think that'd be one of I could do
now
it.
all I want from that series is to see Tex
I agree.
punch Peter Griffin in the face.
Exactly, right?
Or the chicken hires Tex, so he fights Peter Griffin for like 20 minutes.
See,
or
I
what-
could do that.
Yeah,
I could do that. I go into some other people that I've worked with, and I'm really excited because this just came out. Another friend of mine, Mark Caballero, and these are people I worked with way back 20 years ago at Screen Music. His company, Screen Novelties, they just did the Elf because we're thinking of sequels. They did the stop motion Elf. Did you guys watch it all? It was just on the musical
The
one.
Elf musical?
Yes.
I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I did hear about it.
It's done like the old school Rudolph stop motion.
Oh, cool. Oh,
And
cool.
I was so proud of him. I'm like, man, and they're so good. Their company's so good that the old Rudolph, all those puppets are pretty much gone from the Rudolph
Sure.
or the reindeer. But there was the family, like the grandkids of one of the creators, and they had found the Santa Claus puppet like in the attic or something like that. But my friend Mark, his company's so good, they commissioned his company to refurbish. He says, Kath, you know what it was like to have, Santa from Rudolph in my hands? I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, that would be, for me, that's art. That's like, so I was really happy to see that they got Warner Brothers, I think, put it out, but it was really good. It was really good.
Very cool.
I like stop motion. It's like a dying art kind of, but
Yeah,
it's,
very much so.
I'm hoping it's kind of comes back. Same with 2D. Like I, showed you, 2D is an artistic. Not that 3D is not. It's just you don't have anything.
They're different mediums.
It's different,
Yeah.
and it's I like hand on paper. I like the tact. I want to touch, feel.
What's your favorite stop motion animated?
Well, I have to be honest, it's the Christmas specials. That was my time
Sure,
period.
yeah.
Like A Year Without a Santa Claus. Do you remember that with a Heat Miser and I'm Mr. Heat Miser, I'm Mr. Smooth? Or, yeah, you guys never saw those?
No, but if I don't get it from that
no,
song,
the
I'm
Rankin
definitely not
Bass
getting it. I feel like I would know it.
Yeah, you
immediately.
got to
saw
see
that one?
Yeah, and there's Heat Miser and the Cool Miser or whatever, so you got
I'm
All right.
Mr. White.
Christmas, I'm Mr. Ten Below. Friends call me.
Yeah, just keep going. I don't know why. I don't see no
That's
reason to
about
cut
all
it
I
off.
know.
All right, fair enough.
And then you've got so then you have The Year Without a Santa Claus, of course, Rudolph, and then the other one that I just watched the other night with Burgermeister Burger. You know, the one that doesn't. There'll be no toys in this town. So my boyfriend's like, oh my God, you're really old and you're watching all these shows. So, but I'm like, I will always be a kid.
It's tradition.
I was 16 and still typing a letter to Santa Claus. You know what I mean? Like, hey, this is what I want, Santa. I haven't been kissed yet, but I don't care about this thing. I really want this over here.
Well, so were you a bit? You are arguably one of the queens of like ultimate nerd properties.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
how were you growing up? Were you a nerd? You were
I was athlete.
okay.
Okay. And I never fit into any of the groups. So everybody liked me. I was a class clown. I was the one where, I got up in front of the class because I was humming. Zelch, right? I'm in the back of the class. I'm humming. Teacher says, it was one of those student teachers or the people when your teacher's gone. Absent.
TA.
Thank you.
Or
Substitute. And he turns around. He's like, is there humming in this class? And all my friends turn around. And I'm the last one. And I turn around. And then I said, well, yes. And he said, well, what are you humming? I'm like, let me think. And I hummed it to myself. And I said, oh, and it was some Sinatra tune. And he says, well, you know what? If you'd like to sing at the last 5 minutes of class, you can come up and sing in front of everybody. I said, I'd like that. So at the last, 5 minutes before class was over, I got up there and I sang my tune and everybody clapped, So, but I was kind of a nerd. I was a Hello Kitty nerd, which I still am.
Okay.
If you follow me at
right.
all on Twitter, see, yeah. And I have a collection that my sister is, it's kind of like, I need the holiday one. I need the holiday one.
I need my fix.
Yeah, exactly. And I have so many of those. And I'm also a Tokidoki collector. I'm a toy collector. I mean, I love, and they're all from animation. I've got the Iron Giant toys that
Very
I collected,
cool.
of course. I've got Toy Story, the
All
first
right.
ones that I really love. And then Tokidoki, I love that this guy does, I have like the Barbie with the tattoos. It was a collector's edition. And then I have practically every toy he's ever done. And then I love Hello Kitty. 'Twas a Night Before Christmas. I have like the Jack skeleton, and I have, loved the collecting all of the stuff from those stop motion. That's probably another one of my favorites.
I could see. Did you see Box Trolls?
I didn't see that.
I didn't see the commercial in it almost brought me to tears. So
You know here's what happens. Sometimes I have a hard time watching animation because I sit and look for whatever's going on. I don't sit and enjoy the show. I'm like, oh, why did they do that? Oh, that's awful. Oh, that's this.
It's
I pick
hard
it apart.
to turn your brain off.
It is. It really is. You know?
see the seams.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My son, this was hilarious. Growing up, he would hate because I would point out, oh, the visual effects is bad in there. Oh, this and that,
Totally.
And so he loved, it was Pokemon. You remember Pokemon had all those movies?
Mm-hmm.
He says, Mom, you can even make fun of the animation if you take me to the movie. How sad is that? I'm like, oh, okay. They just didn't serve alcohol back then at the theater, so I was like, I'll take you
there
to
weren't no
Pokemon.
21
Movies are so
showings.
much better now. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
Alamo Draft House. But Pokemon, man, you got to be like, before you, the movies, And Power Rangers was like, wow.
So we only have a few minutes left.
Yes.
So I want to do some
bummer.
quick rapid fire questions from the chat roll.
Okay.
Do it.
All right, so let's try to keep it quick answers. Brandon Coleman asked, Kathleen, if there was any other character you could have had the opportunity to voice in RWBY, who would it be?
RWBY.
All right. What's your favorite weapon in RWBY? Jade M asks.
Oh my gosh, it's my thing.
The
Sound
magic wand.
effects.
Yeah, my wand.
Perfect.
CM Soul asks, what do you miss most from when Rooster Teeth was a small company?
The camaraderie. Yeah, the closeness, the close-knit family feel.
All right, Vanessa Campos says, how is it different to play Tex, who is an actual mother but wasn't very motherly, to others to playing Glinda, who isn't a mother but is very motherly in her demeanor?
Well, you know what? Tex Arc got to be a mother towards the end, and that I was able to kind of express that and, feel that. How is it different? Glinda was just, she's a free hot chick and, not a mother and looking for Ironwood. So, yeah.
Paris Whitehead asks, who is the number one person you'd like to see Tex punch in the dick?
Oh my gosh. Probably the leader of North Korea.
There we go.
All right. And then the last one we have is, will there be any backstory to Glinda's character in the next volume, like how she got hired, or maybe the relationship she had with the Ironwood? Renadog23 asks.
I hope so. Yes. I mean, the guys, it's all up to the guys, but it would be nice. I think it'd be fun to see what went on.
That's all I got.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome. Do we have any time to talk about?
We do. Do you have upcoming projects that you'd like to talk
Yeah,
about?
I worked on a show called The Jammies before I went and moved to Austin, Texas. And this was back in 2009. And it was a labor of love. And I worked with these guys. They're rappers, Novelist and Dollar. And they had the idea. And it's kind of funny because it's not RWBY at all, but it is 4 kids that they're going to like a arts academy for music and dance, right? And so we started out doing 13 episodes of this, and there was dissension with the studio that we were working with and money problems, and so we never got to finish it. Well, cut to now, what is it, almost 5 years later, and they just got in contact with me, and I just met with them this morning. Netflix wants, to put it on in February, and there's talk of, doing more episodes. And I'm really excited because I was really proud of it.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of like, this is Hollywood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The things get canned or they get shelved. So it's called DAJAMMIES. And there's little excerpts of it on YouTube if you just Google it. But I if it gets onto Netflix, I'm definitely going to put the shout out. And it's really cute. And the music's fun. And these guys, they're all about what I like. They are rap guys, and they wanted to promote music that was lyric friendly.
Oh, all right.
In the rap world. And so, the demographics and everything. So it's really, so that's coming up. And then I've got my Wonder Woman, in Batman versus Superman. And that will be very fun. I'm looking forward to seeing how that works out.
Yeah, so Brick Nerd?
Brick Nerd. Yeah,
right.
Brick Nerd. And I think in the next day or so on my website, I'll throw up some links so that if people want to go to it. But I think 2015 is going to be a really, really fun year.
Yeah.
I mean, in Austin, I've had the opportunity to do more in front of camera stuff. I did some hosting stuff, and I like that.
Sure.
And so, I'm one of those things where I just don't have I don't have limits. Like I'll go for everything. You know, it's like there's a lot that I want to do. So and I'm working with a couple artists, and we're doing this little we have this little cartoon, and it's a little parody. It's a little chibi of basically me. It was I did a caricature back 10 years ago of what I thought text looked like. Mm-hmm. Text looked like. But the reality is, it was me. It was my. So we're coming up with maybe like some little toys, because I think I love collections. It's all
right,
what it's all about.
Yeah.
So we're coming up with some really cute little toys and we'll see. Hopefully by RTX next year I'll have some merchandise that will be out. But
I would love to see a chibi text.
How cute would that be? Yeah.
Adorable.
And the thing about it is it won't be text because that's a Rooster Teeth property.
Sure.
So what I'm going to do is incorporate the good deeds. So she's actually going to be like a superhero of good deeds.
I like it.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah. That's very cool.
So, yeah.
That's
And her
adorable.
sidekick is my dog Titan. So there you have it. It'll be a little Italian Greyhound, little chibi, and then
It's very cool.
Yeah, it's pretty fun, huh?
It's a sidekick. It's adorable.
Hey, right? Yeah. Who just barks. No.
I do have one quick question, just because I was curious, because when we talked to you last time, you're a big Disney fan.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, being a big fan of animation.
Yeah.
Favorite Disney movie?
Ooh.
Oh, gosh, that's a tough one. Okay, wait, let me just think.
I love that you mentioned that because we talked about Disney deaths last time, like people dying in the
terrible.
park. That's one of my favorite parts of the entire season. Just
I'm going to say the original Snow White way back.
good
It was
choice.
just, it was beautifully done. I mean, it's the animation and the artwork.
Sure.
that I've
First
seen.
feature-length animated movie,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. And it was like, and I remember being mesmerized when I was a kid. And it's funny. I hear all these people and they talk about, the happily ever after, and we should take that stuff out. And the girl, like, I never bought into that crap. Anyways, you know what I mean? It's just a fantasy. It's just fun. You know what I mean? Like, let little girls have
it's just
some
a little
fantasy.
fairy tale.
Yeah, it's a fairy tale. I mean, I get it, but it's kind of like, I don't know. If you teach them it's a fairy tale, then that's what it is.
Right.
I mean, Wile E. Coyote would throw pianos off of cliffs. Does not mean I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? And jump underneath them.
Yeah, pianos are heavy.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's all this, kids are taking after games. Like, I don't know.
This has been awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
great.
Thank you
I
so
have
much for
enjoyed.
coming out.
Thank you. No, I've had a blast.
It flew by.
It did.
I know.
We just started this.
I know,
This is
I know.
incredible.
I
Well,
wish we had more time, but they're
yeah.
going to kick us out of the studio.
Yeah,
we'll have you back.
Where can fans go if they want to find out more about you and
Yes.
about your upcoming
I
projects?
have my own website, KathleenZuelch.com, and I'm also on Twitter at KZuelch, and I'm on Instagram, and I'm on Tumblr, and all of that. So the best place will probably be my website because I'm going to really start, I'll be able to keep that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So thank you
Thanks
guys.
again. Absolutely.
Thank you so
My
much
pleasure.
for coming in.
My pleasure.
Patrick, where can people go if they want to keep up with you?
I don't know. I'm on Twitter at P to the D's. I also host a video game podcast, ostensibly. I mean, apparently we were supposed to talk about video games. We talk about almost everything but video games for the most part. I'm Pixel by Pixel on iTunes.
And I'm Megan. You can follow me on Twitter at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. I'm also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz. Thank you so much
Yeah,
again,
thanks
Kathleen,
again.
for coming
This
in.
has been great.
Thank
Happy
you
New Year.
to everybody who participated in the live chat and used the Twitter hashtag. We will see you guys next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.